photographing the way I do, but with my colors, this will change everything.
I got to see each frame, each position of its wing, and they're so beautiful that I have never seen before.
Being able to move quickly and working at my brain's pace and getting those shots in the moment. Having this camera allows you to go out and create the way you want to create.
Until you use it, you cannot even imagine what you have missed.
It's something I've never seen before in my entire life. It's something totally different.
Nikon Z6 III. Outperform.
Introducing ISO Color Edge. Precision is essential for any professional working with images. Whether you're an artist, a retoucher, or a visual effects specialist, you need to know that what you see at the start of a project is precisely what you'll get at the end. Color Edge monitors give consistent, reliable accuracy that guarantee no surprises within your color workflow. So what you see in real life is what you see on screen, and what you see on screen is what you see in real life. That's precisely why professionals all over the world trust ISO Color Edge for their image creation. ISO Color Edge. Discover living, breathing color.
I'm Mark Rizzetto from the Professional Photography Business Network.
A vibrant community from all around the world who's here to supercharge your business growth.
This is not an expensive one-size-fits-all course.
The PPBN is a network, an online educational platform with training and resources to suit everyone.
From those just starting out to the seasoned pros.
You can tailor your journey to suit your individual business needs and challenges, all at your own pace.
And there's new content added every week. But success is only part of the experience.
To us, community is super important, as we all know business can be lonely.
So join us today. PPBN is your unfair advantage. Let's do this.
Hello and welcome to the judging of the Creative Wedding category for the 2026 Australian Photographic Prize. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoy seeing some amazing creative wedding images being judged today. I'm here on behalf of our competition director, Daniel Bingham, and our director of judging, Chris Anderson. And behind the scenes, we also have Nathan, our broadcast producer, and Mel Sinclair, our scribe. I'm Sarah Edmonds, your panel mentor for this session. Now, we'd just like to thank our sponsors for their contribution to the prize. A huge thank you to our major sponsor, Nikon Australia, who are awarding our overall Australian winner, Nikon product valued at up to $5,000. Thank you also to ISO for providing the Australian runner-up prize of a Color Edge CS2731 valued at $2,000. And thanks to the Professional Photographers Business Network. PPBN have generously provided a 12-month membership valued at $1,000 for our international winner. Now, today we're here to judge the top 23 images in the creative wedding category. So these are images captured at a genuine wedding-related event, celebrating the diversity of wedding traditions, cultures, and relationships through creative vision. The post-production rules are open. Images may be of a single person, a couple, or a group, and may include animals. Now, in this session, our expert panel of judges will assess each image, scoring the image out of 100 with a comment for each, and in some cases, a challenge where we discuss the image in more detail and then rescore. When our session is complete, we move to closed-door judging, where the panel deliberates to determine the winner from the highest scoring images. Our winner, second and third place Australian image, along with the winning international image, will be revealed at our live award ceremony on August the 13th. Now, in a moment, we'll introduce you to our judging panel for today. But first up, let's have a look at the top 23 images in Creative Wedding. Take it away, Mel Sinclair. Wow, they just look absolutely amazing. We've got quite a lineup for you. I'd like to pass you over now to the judges who are going to introduce themselves. These judges are expert and drawn from Australia and all around the world. And so let's start with Adam. Would you like to introduce yourself quickly?
Hi, everybody. My name is Adam Hogan. I live in northern New South Wales. I've been a newspaper portrait and a wedding photographer for the past 30 years, and I really just enjoy photographing people and interacting with people. I love the way that people come together and the sort of reactions and connections you can make on a wedding day. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that today.
Great, thank you. And Christopher?
Yes, well, this is my Christmas. I absolutely love coming along to see the best you have given us, the best of your best work, and watching it. It absolutely inspires me still. I've been a wedding photographer since 1981. My first wedding, my boss gave me 2 rolls of film, the studio Hasselblad, and said, you got 24 frames, get 3 wrong and you don't get paid. So since then, I've seen styles, fashion, camera equipment all change, and I've witnessed it all.
Amazing. Thank you. Dario, who are you?
Hello, everybody. My name is Dario Righetto. I'm from Italy, as you probably can tell. I'm wedding photographer and videomaker, as well as an illustrator and a print expert. And that's why I suppose I'm here.
Fantastic. Thank you. Furo.
Hello everyone, my name is Furuk Yavari. I'm from Melbourne. I'm a visual artist and fine art portrait and fashion photographer. I've been in art industry for over 20 years and photography in Australia 13 years. My work focus mostly on all variation of portrait and fashion and beauty. My passion is on both creativity and technique, and I consider myself as a storyteller, and I'm super excited to see your amazing work and judging them.
So much, Furo. Kelly?
Hi everyone, I'm Kelly Brown. I'm an Australian that currently lives in London. Very excited to be a part of the creative wedding category, and mostly because of the connection and the creativity. So I'm excited to get through this with my fellow judges. Oh, I've been a photographer for a while.
Quite a while. And Paul?
Hi, I'm Paul Wilkinson. I'm a portrait and wedding photographer based here in Oxfordshire, in the middle of the English countryside. I've been shooting for, well, as long as I can remember, and I judged for about 15. And the great thing, the thing I'm looking forward to most about Creative Wedding is the emotions of it, whether it's laughter or tears. It's that sense that you're at a unique event between two people's lives, two families' lives, and I absolutely love it.
last but absolutely not least, Mr. Scott. Who are you?
Good morning or good evening, everybody. It's Scott Johnson here from the UK. Wedding and portrait photographer for the last 20 years, been judging for 10 of those. I used to work on cruise ships, but don't like to mention it. I am very much looking forward to the creative category. This gets me right in the feels to see the level of creativity on an actual wedding day and to see images that are going to inspire me for the next 12 months. This is why I judge.
Fantastic. Thank you. So now that you've met the panel, let's get settled. Let's get judging. Judges, are you ready?
Yep.
Yeah, all ready to go? Fantastic. So Mel, can we have our first image, please?
Okay. This image is titled Photo Bombers.
Okay, so we have a score of 79, which is highly commended. And Adam, you enjoyed this image. Would you like to comment?
I wouldn't mind challenging it, actually, if that's okay.
Absolutely. We always love a challenge.
I think for the extra point in silver, I think what I'd like to reward is, first of all, I guess the planning that's gone into this image and to tell that story and to give a bit of a feel of the location that perhaps just a shot of the general location wouldn't generally give us. You know, the nice line that's sort of created by those people and it's the reactions of the people around it as well. You've got that bride and groom still, that lovely connection, like no matter what's going on past them, they're still looking right at each other. And even just the little details like the bridesmaid off to the right, sort of referencing that person that she, whereas the other bridesmaid is very still. I think there's some good planning and you know, the beginnings of some really good execution and the storytelling that just goes a little bit above. And I think we can move it up a point into silver.
Great. And can we have a comment from Faro as well, please?
Thank you so much, Sarah. Yeah, Adam, I'm really with you in that side. I gave it as highly solid, highly commended, and because of the very interesting concept we've been we've been seeing. There are lots of news that lots of climber and mountain climber just going like 1,000 in a climb, and I think we witnessed it here in a wedding of these two people, and they are really passionate about each other and looking at each other without even notice them. My concern is the quality of image, and especially in the right side bottom. I don't know what exactly happened. It's just like overlapping, pixelation, movement. There is something there that I can resolve it to myself. If you can explain on that, I think we are sitting in 79 and I'm willing to come up.
Thank you. Adam, would you like to reply to that?
I think that there probably are some tiny technical faults within the image that perhaps we would be looking at even higher. I like the way that it's not just a whole group of people. This has been really cleverly planned. So because obviously we've got a repetition of people throughout the frame. So, you know, this isn't just a chance happening that we've got here. The photographers planned this and placed the people to give us that nice line that leads us through the image, you know, from that bottom left corner, perhaps leading us away from that bottom right corner that perhaps isn't as beautiful as the rest of the scene. I think just for the planning alone and the storytelling that comes and trying to elevate the moment, I think we can get another point in silver. I'd love to see it up there.
Thank you for your comments. And would you all like to rescore? Adam is going to stay where he is at 81. And we now have an 80. We have a silver award. Thank you so much. That is, it's 1 point, but it's a whole category. So very, very well appreciated from the entrant, I think. Thank you for that. And can we move on to the next image, please?
The title of this image is Rainy Wedding Day Glance.
And we have a 75, which is a highly commended. Very well done, a very respectable score there. Could we have a comment from Dario, please?
Yeah, of course. So I really appreciated the attention that the author put in the capturing the expression and this, in a very brief moment, this smile, this spontaneous smile of the bride, and capturing, trying to make the most of what was surrounding the subject. So I think this is the typical example of a photographer there is actually with a situation awareness in a full mode and capturing, framing even the subject with these windows. So I think it's a very it's a very good shot for a wedding. With that being said, there's of course margin for improvement. For instance, there's a bit of a lot of going on the background, and possibly with moving the camera just a tiny bit would have cleared a little bit of background, and the silhouette of the bride would have been probably more nicely framed by the window.
Thank you very much. And before we move on, we're just going to have a little rotation of judges. So we'll have Paul coming on, please, and Adam, you're going to go off. Next image, please.
The title of this image is The Best Kind of Chaos.
And we have a 77, which is highly commended. Would anybody like to challenge that? And we have a challenge from Dario.
Yeah. So should I say what I scored? Okay. So I scored this picture 81. So fairly above the 77, which is already a good scoring, because 77 means highly commended, which means that it's professional, it's well executed. But I took it to the next level because I perceived an irony in and I'm not meaning the funny faces and the groom going funny. I'm meaning the composition and the fact that the aperture and the way the author designed this picture seems to recall a little bit more like icon that you might see somewhere in maybe some church. But guess what? Instead of saints or bishops or any holy figures, you will have this couple, this funny couple, clearly with a lot of going on. We might even assume that the groom left off probably a couple of hours before, either with the party going on or just because elated of the day. And the bride, on the other hand, seems a little bit more concerned, and she seems to stare at the ring on his hand, and which also is kind of ironic, being the wedding day. And so overall, I believe that the storytelling, the cropping, the concept and the impact of this picture would deserve a little bit more of, I'd say, support and appreciation for the effort taken. So, fellow judges, thank you so much for listening to my preach in a way, and please reconsider.
Okay.
Yes, Paul, you scored this. You saw some more areas for improvement. So would you like to expand on that?
I did. And it's interesting listening to Dario break down his view. And broadly speaking, I saw this slightly differently. I think possibly I've been a little bit hard because the image is certainly intriguing. There's something about it. I'm not sure that the title necessarily has helped the image along. For me, it feels like there's something, whatever it is that's missing out of that shot, possibly a football, I don't know. And I suppose there's a curiosity there, but the title could have supported that. For me, the image feels quite flat. The production is something that I would love the author to have another look at. The monochrome needs some bite to it. The biggest thing for me, looking at the image, and the bit that probably is where I've been fairly harsh, is that the groom's expression is completely blank. Now, I appreciate, judging by the bottle the bride is holding, this is towards the end of a possibly quite a long celebration. But nonetheless, the connection isn't there for me, and this is a wedding photograph. And so I'd love the author to investigate possibly some of the other outtakes, actually, where there's a little bit more life in the groom's eyes, maybe a bit more connection. That said, I'm totally with Dario on appreciating the sort of icon style to the cropping and framing. I'd love to see this as a print because I think with a mount cut that way, it would look even more deliberate and impressive. But of course, listening to Dario, I'm happy to move my marks up a little bit.
Thank you, Paul. Kelly?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this image. I scored it a 77, which I believe fits really well within that highly commended scoring range for a lot of the same reasons that Dario mentioned and Paul as well. But I just wanted to point out very, very quickly that there are a couple of technical aspects of the image that could be improved to be able to take it into that silver scoring range. So just around the bride's arm that's holding the bottle of water, there's some clear sort of photoshopping techniques that need to be a little bit more refined. And then just where the hedge meets the groom underneath that arm on the left-hand side, there's some inconsistencies there as well. So we need to be able to refine all of those technical aspects of an image when we're sort of looking to place it in that silver scoring range. So for me, I feel that it sits quite well within that highly commended category at 77 currently.
Thank you, Kelly. Dario, would you like to reply to that?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank both Paul and Kelly because you were, of course, on point. And I take on board all your recommendations for the author. And in fact, my main goal here was to spark a conversation that would actually help the author, which you accomplish amazingly well. So all your points are, I think, priceless for the author, and we'll make sure that the next time, the next round, the production will be even higher. So I still believe that I would want to reward the profound irony in this sort of iconish composition, but thank you so much for your input, and let's rescore.
Thank you so much. And those comments of improvement, by the way, are pure gold. So if you're watching, just grab onto that and let it soak in because it's just so valuable. Thank you, panelists. Dario, you're going to stay where you are, and everyone else is going to rescore. And the score stays at a 77, highly commended, very well done to the entrant, and I really hope you got a lot from that feedback. Now, can we have Scott Johnson is going to join the panel, and Christopher is going to step off. And then we'll have the next image.
The title of this image is Stacked on the Bar, 17 images stacked.
Thank you. We have a 77, highly commended. The judges are fairly tight within that scoring range. Scott, would you like to comment on this image, please?
Yeah, I would. I'd love to. Thank you. I scored this image 78, which sits firmly in the highly commended category. I really want to commend the author for doing something at the end of a wedding day where people are less enamored to stand about and have pictures, and to be as creative as this, I think, is quite nice. I scored it 78 because I think the thought process is there, but sadly I couldn't go any higher. There's a little, I wish the image had a bit more room to breathe. You've got some feet cut off at the bottom, you've got some movement. The gentleman that's sadly not looking at the camera on the third to the left, there's some movement around his cuff. Now obviously the title indicates that that's where there's maybe some stacking that's taken place, so just be very careful if you are going to lay your images and you're going to stack. There's attention to detail when it comes to the finer points of the edit, but I think on the whole this is going to look really, really good in the wedding album. The couple are going to enjoy it, and I think the groom with a slightly tinted glass of red wine is having way too much fun, and I think he looks the proudest man in the room.
Thank you so much, Scott. And can we have Dario? You're going to go off the panel, and we will have Adam back on. And then we'll move to the next image.
This image has no title.
Scores, please. We have just waiting for Kelly. Okay, and we have an 81, a silver. So given there's quite a wide range of scores there, so I think I'm going to ask for a comment from Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a really bold composition straight away with a very high key background and the strong colours and the contrast. And there's a lot you can read in from this. Perhaps this is going to be the ultimate, boozy wedding or something like that. Maybe he's the pool boy. Who knows? Like you can create all of that. That's the great thing about these images. There's a few places where perhaps the high key perhaps takes away from some of the detail, or the contrast just shifts around a little bit, perhaps around the groom's face as well. But it's a really interesting, clever concept, and well done to the photographer.
Great, thank you. Very great comment. That's an 81 silver. And can we have Faro? Can you come off the panel? And we will have Christopher back on. And the next image, please.
Okay, this image is titled Each Wedding Its Own Cosmos.
And we have a 79, highly commended. And a couple of you scored this in a way that might invite a challenge. Would any of you, I will leave that to, I'll wait for a volunteer before volunteering you. Okay, we have the challenge from Christopher.
Yes,
You scored this.
the sheer joy in this is brilliant. As you run through the images, you realise all of these events have happened in weddings you've been part of. The sunset, the rainy day, the wild party you can't control is just out there. And then the people who are introspective. It's just brilliant. And this is really digital at its finest. It's fun, it's entertaining. I don't know how it fits in the wedding album because these appear to be different bride and grooms, but let's see how that can be explained by somebody else.
Yes, I'd love to hear from Kelly, please.
Yeah, I scored this 78, and I agree, Chris. Like, there's so much going on here, and it's got a lot of creativity. I definitely don't think that it's for a wedding album. However, I think that it's a really great representation of what a wedding photographer can do in terms of their own personal portfolio. So I want to commend the photographer for creating something different and for showcasing their work in a really out there way, because I've not seen anything quite like this before. However, for me to be able to take it into that silver scoring range, I just want to see a little bit more definition and clarity and focus around the actual couples themselves. I feel like we're being overpowered here by the creative concept, and just when I kind of look at this, you know, at 100%, which is what we're allowed to do, there are a couple of technical flaws. The blue one, the ocean scene, just around the edge of the circle there, you know, there's a little bit of fragmenting going on there, and we've got a little bit of, I suppose, blurring going on in some areas, especially where the groom's dark suits kind of blend in with those darker backgrounds. So for me to really showcase your work as a wedding photographer, I want to see that bride and groom, that couple, or the bridal party really stand out and be the heroes of this, because it's one thing to kind of bring a creative concept to us, it's another to really showcase your work as a wedding photographer. So amazing on the concept, just a little bit more skill and technique required to really kind of bring this to life, just so that it doesn't look like circles. If we want to make it look like planets, we've got to really refine each of those objects there. But yeah, as I said, I scored this a 78, and I think that it sits really well there, but it does have so much potential to go even higher.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. Scott, you scored this on the lower range, so please share how the entrant can really take this up into the next category confidently.
Yeah, I scored this 75, so just creeping into the highly commended. And basically, for all the reasons Kelly just gave, I think this is an incredible idea. And if the author's in the room, just run with it. No, just take everything. I'm not going to repeat what Kelly said. Take what she said on board, run with it. And I really can't wait to see something back at APP this time next year.
Thank you. And Christopher, would you like to reply and convince your fellow judges to come up as you see fit?
Well, what I'm seeing here is the atmosphere of each of these planets looks like a planet. There's different colours and shadings which have the influence of Venus and Mercury and Saturn. I just think it's a very clever idea. I'm really only asking for one more point. I scored at 82. I'm not expecting people to join me, but just give it that one more point, because you'll send a clear signal to the photographer. If you keep on this path, you'll be scoring much higher and people won't be debating the point.
Thank you very much. So, Christopher, you're going to stay where you are at 82, and everybody else can rescore. And the score stays at 79, highly commended. Now, could we have Kelly? I'd like you to step off the panel, and we will have Dario back on. Next image, please.
Okay, the title of this image, I can see us later today as husband and wife.
And we have an 82, a silver. And we have a challenge from Adam.
Yeah, I put this just up into the silver distinction range. I'm on 85. I think the concept's really striking. The eye grabs you straight away, and that feel of this, it has a bit of a nostalgic feel, but you wonder, the title sort of says, is it looking into the future? Is it perhaps looking into the past when perhaps the sort of a little bit older? The blend, I think, is really well. It's a lovely moment. There's such joy, and everything sort of leads you in the right way, and you get a bit of sense of the location. I'd like to reward the photographer for having the concept that grabs us a very arresting image, but then shows us, all the details that give us the information about that day in a really striking manner.
Thank you. And could we have a word from Christopher?
Well, I see it as a striking photo. It's dataism. It really is brilliant. I just don't see the title working with it. And that chap on the left who's just bringing down the photo, he's a scene stealer. He's grabbing my attention because the groom's in this pale, low contrast situation because he's off to the side. It's more like, I can see later today I'll be a bride, which is a little bit unfortunate, but certainly dataism at its best. Beautiful.
Thank you. And Scott?
Yeah, I was at 82, 81, sorry, so just in the silver. I agree with Adam. I think this has got so much potential for me in a creative category. I think you could have gone a little bit more just to help that believability when you had the power to retouch and get rid of things. I'm drawn more to the person just below the eye holding the phone, and looks like the plastic shopping bag that they're holding on the wrist, and it's taken my attention away from this really great expression. I think the title actually really puts it over. I think this is the bride on the morning of the wedding day, looking the final preparations before she leaves to get married, and then she's seeing the future, and they're walking out of the church or the ceremony room with the confetti. It's a really powerful title, a bit more attention to detail, and I would absolutely come up to where Adam is.
Fantastic. Thank you. Adam, back to you.
Yeah, I can certainly appreciate that there are elements around the thing that may sort of seem like they're not important to us and maybe draw away. Perhaps for this woman, like you said, you've got the two men. Perhaps these are the two men that are the either side of her in her life. They certainly seem to be the ones closest to her, and so maybe that's her strongest memory. And then it gives us a little bit of that scene as well. It gives us a time. It gives us a location. I think I'm still drawn to that eye, and it comes across for me to those people and to that wonderful expression. So I really want to reward the creative concept here mostly, and really just push it up a couple more points, I think. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Some wonderful comments there. So Adam, you're going to stay where you are, and everybody else can rescore. And we've gone up a point. We now have an 83 silver award. Thank you so much. Scott, would you like to step off? And we will have Faro back on. And next image, please.
Okay, this image has no title.
We have a 78, highly commended. Paul, you scored this higher. Would you like to challenge?
No, I'd like to comment.
Great. Let's have a comment from you then, please.
Firstly, I'd like to commend the author on a construction of the image. I think the elliptoid mount cut, as it would be if we were seeing this as a print, I think has worked really well. I'm enjoying the shape of the shot, the way the trees in the background and the lights lead you in to this sheer joy between a couple. And ultimately, for me, as a wedding photographer, that's the hero of the piece. It's the connection, it's the laughter, it's that moment when you hit the button and everything works. To elevate this into the next level, and I've put it into silver, but I completely appreciate why it's the score it sits. I'm going to assume the trees were in shot as opposed to comped in later. Either way, if the trees were in shot, maybe the author should just try dragging the shutter that little bit longer, just to lighten them up a little bit. Give us some detail, give us some shape and form in the background that will help contextualize the moment, and just be wary of that harsh flash where it bleeds to straight white in the hair and around the edges. I understand the flare in the middle. There's not an awful lot you could do about that. So this, for me, what I love is that the author has captured a unique moment. What I'm looking for in the future would be those little bits of finesse, the lightning, the control, understanding how the highlights are going to play. But all in all, I think this is a very effective image.
Thank you, Paul. And I'd just like to remind everybody watching that a highly commended is a highly competent, well-executed work with sound technique and clear intent. Let's just have a little shuffle around, and let's just bring Scott back on for an image, and Adam, you can go off. Next image, please.
Okay, the title of this image is GOAT, greatest of all time.
We have a 77, highly commended. Would anybody like to challenge that? Yes, we have a challenge from Faro.
Yeah, I gave it 82. I feel like this image is really well captured. There's so much details in the skirt and in that beautiful bright area of the wedding dress and the hair, and it goes to the door and around. I really don't know what exactly the story of the goat here. I can see the picture. Maybe there's a thing between bride and groom, and we can totally resolve it, but definitely there is a story, and the story could be something that the bride and groom want and ask for it, and photographer try to be more creative. I think like the in technical part is very well captured. Maybe the story is not as strong as we wanted to see, but I think it's really is still worth it to see it as a silver range. And I'm looking forward to hearing from you guys.
Thank you so much. Scott, would you like to explain how the entrant can raise this up into the next category?
Yeah, I would love to. I was at 74, so just outside of highly commended. There's real potential here within this image. I think the placing of the bride within the door frame has been well done. I'm a big fan of the verticals and the horizontals. So kudos to that, and the detail on the dress, the fact you've got it laid out beautifully, has been very well done. For me, what's helped me going back into highly commended is post-production. If you look, we had the privilege of being able to go to 100%. The bride on the right hand, there's some layer mask in there. Looks like she's wearing could be wearing like a glove, where it's just been, the highlight has been toned down so much it's gone a little bit matted and a bit muted. And there's a big saying I always like to try and say, if it bends, bend it. So the fact the arms are nice and straight has created some, the opposite of foreshortening, where it looks that the arms are a lot shorter than what they actually are. So just bend the arms ever so slightly, relax the shoulders. I think this would have been able to go a little bit higher on my score.
so incredible, just gold tips there. Just amazing. Thank you so much. Could we hear from Christopher, please?
Yeah, the one thing we've got to realise with a lot of this photography is we're really standing on the shoulders of giants. So many people have done it and executed unbelievable photography from this angle, and they've used contrast to create the depth and folds in the dress through the photo. This is just too flat. So if you investigate throwing contrast into your door, your dress, the background, you'll create a depth where the eye will flow through to that back room. But this is just a flat, low contrast image, unfortunately.
Thank you. And back to Farouk.
Yeah, I totally hear you, Christopher, and also Scott. I'm really agree with that side with you, Christopher. I zoom in and I see the. Oh, actually, I saw the hands as well. It's lack of the finishing and the pressure of the shoulder or holding it. It create a X for me. It just like kind of make it interesting in the composition, the hands and the skirt. The wedding dress to the bottom. I still don't feel like it's too flat. I feel like actually it's using of a natural light and deliver it in a very in not a perfect but in a good way. And also I awarded because of the storytelling, because of there is something there that I quite understand it yet, but I know is there, and it's because of is I think is there is some faults in the post-production for sure. I can argue with that, but still I think like there is a cinematic feeling to it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, Farouk. You will stay where you are, and the rest of the judges will rescore. And we've gone up a point, 78, highly commended. Well done. 1 point, but it means so much to the entrance. So thank you, judges, for listening to each other. Can we have Kelly, you're going to step back on. And Farouk, you can step off. And then we'll go to the next image.
Okay, the title of this image is Love Reflected.
And we have a 76, highly commended. I would like a comment from Dario, please.
Sure. So I scored these pictures 75, so more or less aligned with the overall score. Well, with such an incredible place there, I commend the author for taking the time to explore the possibilities and particularly the geometry that we can appreciate with a reflection. However, given the category as well, some attention to the detail. Particularly I'm referring to the neon lights lower on the sort of pier, so left from the groom. And and trying to make it more atmospheric, probably, and or more geometrical, so going more graphic. There's a lot going on. There's a very bright green on the trees, the sky as well, create this texture with the nice blue and the clouds. So there's so much that it is kind of distracting from the title as well. So the reflections. I would commend the author to probably isolate the subjects a little bit more and make the most of the lines.
Thank you so much. That's a 76, highly commended. And Scott, I'd like you to step off. And let's bring Adam back on. And we'll move to the next image.
The title of this image, Two Fish in the Sea.
And we have an 80, a silver. And we have a challenge from Paul.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to move when you're trying to get the microphones in place and the mute off. Okay, I gave this 86 with a degree of enthusiasm. Now, I've no idea if this was shot in one or whether it's a comp, but I believe it's shot in one. And that's important because placing a softbox behind the couple and giving a silhouette and placing it inside this sort of marine view, this tank view, using the reflections on the glass, I think is a genius idea. And if it isn't shot in camera, I'd love someone to go and explore that idea, because the whole atmospheric of it, the whole way it's laid out, even the shark sort of peering intently, I'm assuming, at what it thinks could be food. I don't even know what a shark sees inside a tank, whether they just see the reflections. The couple are clearly connected, which of course is the bit that's most important. There's a romance in it. They've chosen that location. Again, I come back to the assumption that this is shot for real. I really love the blues. I love the kind of framing of it. I love the intent and the idea of it. I think it's something I've never seen done before. And for all of those reasons, I think it deserves a mark or two more. And I'd love some of the judges just to come up with me a little way. Thank you.
Thank you. And Kelly, can we hear from you, please?
Yeah, I scored this 76. And you know what? I love that you just said, Paul, that this is unique. This is something different we haven't seen before. And that's what I truly love about this image. I mean, what a location, and it clearly means something to the couple here. However, I feel like if we're going to enter an image like this into the creative wedding category, we have so many tools at our disposal to kind of help refine these, you know, incredible moments that we've captured. There's a few little technical errors. There's some reflections on the glass that could have been toned down, some repetition from the lines in the shark underneath it. They can be removed in this category to help sort of take your eye back to the subject. That's kind of what we want. I feel like that white frame, that square frame, which is, you know, clearly a doorway around the couple here, is just a little I suppose tight. It's constraining them a little bit. So a little bit more room to move there, and perhaps a little bit more direction in terms of the posing, sort of better placement of and positioning of their heads and things like that to kind of make it a little bit more flattering and to make them more of the hero of this shot. So there's just a couple of things here that I would really love to see improved to kind of take it to that next level, but I am listening and totally agree. I love the uniqueness of this.
Thank you. Adam, would you like to say something about this image?
Yeah, look, I support everything that's been said. It certainly is unique and well, you know, constructed image. However, it is created. For me, what I like is the shark right in the middle. The eye kind of leads me back to the couple, but then everything to the left of it, and including the sort of where it shifts the palette a little bit and that slightly different fish, that's what's pulling me away from that composition that's on the right hand side there. Even the fish at the bottom sort of dragged me away. There's a really interesting sort of arrangement in that right hand side. I'm just being slightly pulled away from it. I think I'll come up a little bit, but I need a little bit more to come up in the silver distinction, I think.
Paul, back to you to convince
Yeah,
your
thank
judges
you.
to come up.
As always, it's so lovely hearing all of the judges. And they draw your eye to things that each of us may only notice the things that we notice. I'm fairly certain this is a softbox stuck behind the couple or placed behind the couple, mostly because in an aquarium they wouldn't have a bright light source anywhere. That's part of the construction, the architecture, the interior design of them. So the author's gone to a lot of effort, I believe, to place the couple, place a softbox. Yes, it's a little bit tight, but because of the way the veil is lit and bleeds out in the reflection, that isn't quite as distracting as it could have been. Little bits and pieces, yeah, the nose is touching, a little bit of direction on silhouettes, of course. The finessing there would be lovely. I've given it a silver with distinction, not a gold. The reflections in the glass, I think, for me at least, add authenticity. Sometimes these things can look too fake, too polished. I know this is the creative wedding category, but in the end, you want believability. And we say this all the time when people are comping, and they tend to lose the believability component. They make these incredible synthetic images, but are not believable. This is completely believable, and it's those little reflections in the glass that make that so. And I also like the way the line runs, the school of fish that runs diagonally across with the shark planted bullseye. I think for me that construction has more or less worked. Like I said, I've given this silver with distinction, not gold, and I'd love to see a few more marks to reward connection in the couple, and more than anything, of course, the originality of the idea. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Paul, you're going to stay where you are, and everybody else can rescore. And we now have an 82, a solid silver. It's just a pleasure to listen to you judges being so enthusiastic, and even when you're giving constructive critique, your passion and love for the image is really coming through. I just want to thank you all for listening to each other so with such skill and respect. So we're at about the halfway point. So we're going to take a little break to hear from our sponsors and let the judges stretch their legs, and we'll be back in a few minutes.
Wow, photographing the way I do, but with my colors, this will change everything.
I got to see each frame, each position of its wing, and they're so beautiful that I have never seen before.
Being able to move quickly and working at my brain's pace and getting those shots in the moment. Having this camera allows you to go out and create the way you want to create.
Until you use it, you cannot even imagine what you have missed.
It's something I've never seen before in my entire life. It's something totally different.
Nikon Z6 III. Outperform.
Introducing ISO Color Edge. Precision is essential for any professional working with images. Whether you're an artist, a retoucher, or a visual effects specialist, you need to know that what you see at the start of a project is precisely what you'll get at the end. Color Edge monitors give consistent, reliable accuracy that guarantee no surprises within your color workflow. So what you see in real life is what you see on screen, and what you see on screen is what you see in real life. That's precisely why professionals all over the world trust ISO Color Edge for their image creation. ISO Color Edge. Discover living, breathing color.
I'm Mark Rizzetto from the Professional Photography Business Network.
A vibrant community from all around the world who's here to supercharge your business growth.
This is not an expensive one-size-fits-all course.
The PPBN is a network,
An online educational platform with training and resources to suit everyone.
from those just starting out to the seasoned pros.
You can tailor your journey to suit your individual business needs and challenges, all at your own pace.
And there's new content added every week. But success is only part of the experience.
To us, community is super important as we all know business can be lonely.
So join us today. PPBN is your unfair advantage. Let's do this.
Welcome back to the creative wedding category. We're going to get back into judging. And to do that, I'm going to ask Scott to come back on the panel. And Paul, you're going to take a little break. Don't go anywhere too far. Next image, please.
This image is titled The Road Ahead.
We have a 76 and all of the judges within that highly commended band. So quite tight judging. Adam, would you like to say something?
Yeah, look, there's a lovely expression here, and well done for maintaining the connection, I guess, between their arms in the image. I think perhaps the perspective, not only have we got a little bit of a lean to the left, but that sort of widening perspective perhaps isn't as quite as flattering on the couple and sort of really enlarges the groom a little bit. But there's a nice connection and certainly a lovely moment that's beginning here.
Thank you. So that's 76. And let's have Christopher, you can sit off for a second, and Faro, you can come back on. Next image, please.
This image has no title.
We have an 85, a silver with distinction. And could I have a word from Kelly, please?
absolutely. I was waiting to see if this was going to be challenged or not, but I'm really glad I get to talk to it. I did score this in 86, and okay, I'm going to really struggle to articulate this, but what an incredible use of shape and light. I think that this is so unique, and the photographer's seen this location and then used the light with all of those shadows and those highlights to kind of create something that's, I'm going to say, mesmerizing. I'm drawn to this in so many ways. I feel like there is a lot going on here, but however, I love that because my eye does this like dance around the image, but then still leads me back into the subject. If there was a single point, because I really contemplated obviously going much higher with my score here, if there was something singular that I could point out that could help really elevate this, it would be the light on the subject's face. I feel like the arms are just a little bit more dominant in terms of that space, and that broad lighting on that cheek is just a little bit, I suppose, unflattering in a sense. I would love to have seen the subject's face just turned a little bit more towards the camera so that we could see more of the actual sort of far side of the face and not just that singular eye, or have it turned completely side on so it's more of a side profile. So just a little bit more refinement there with the posing of the subject's face. But what an incredible location, the colors, the shapes here, and the light, the play with those shadows. It's really created something quite unique. And yeah, like, as I said, I'm mesmerized by this location. Amazing.
Thank you, Kelly. So we have an 85 for that image, silver with distinction. Very well done. Could we have Dario? You're going to sit off the panel now, and we will bring Paul back on. Next image, please.
Okay. This image is titled, "He Made It."
And we have a 74, a pre-award. Would anybody, is everybody happy with that? Before we move on to comments? Yeah, okay. So I would love to hear from Scott. You shoot a lot of weddings, and I would love to hear your recommendations for improvement here to get into.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. I was at 73, so no, just at the top end of that pre-award. The title is really helping with this image. We can assume that this is grandfather or father of the bride who's not been in the best of health. You can maybe get that from the walker that he's using. And the fact that the reaction that you've got from the lady in the hat on the right-hand side is just pure joy that, yeah, he made it, and he's going to give this bride away to be married. And again, you can only assume it's the groom's centre frame between the bride and dad, just wiping tears away of happiness. I think it's a really great capture on the wedding day. I'm struggling with an area of sharpness within this image. I think there's a long focal length used here, and the shutter speed isn't quite hitting that mark in order to be perfectly sharp at the point and where we need it to be sharp. I think the flowers are the sharpest point. The area image on the whole could do a bit of warming up in post-production, maybe some contrast and a slight lift in exposure there. But I think from a narrative point of view, and certainly from a more documentary style capture, this is definitely hitting the mark for the couple on the wedding day. So well done.
Thank you very much. 74 pre-award. And let's move some people around. We will have Kelly, you can go off the panel for a second, and Christopher, you can come back on. And we will move to the next image, please.
This image has no title.
And we have a 75, highly commended. And could I hear from Adam, please?
Sure. Look, there's a really interesting palette and trying to, I guess, play off the color of that smoke that's been used here, and then contrasting it with a bit of the deeper blue in the background sets that the element and give the mood of the image. I think sometimes the main part of where I'm looking at the image around her face and around her the top of her bodice is kind of the part that I've got the least amount of information and detail. So I kind of feel like I'm blocked from getting them into her. The sort of I see more about the chandelier and less about the actual bride figure. So perhaps just giving us a little bit more of that information and really refining that pose with the hands and her expression. There's certainly a lovely concept and interesting work going on here.
Thank you, Adam. 75, highly commended. And let's, how shall we rotate? Let's have Dario back on, and Adam, you can sit off. Next image, please.
Okay, my video is off. Sorry. The title of this image is A Quiet Moment Together.
We have a 79, highly commended. And Scott is keen to speak about this. Go for it, Scott.
I was at 79. Man, this has got potential. This just outside of silver, top end of highly commended. I think the placement of the bride and groom is very, very nicely done. Again, I'm a big fan. I mean, I shoot architecture for fun. The fact the author's got the verticals perfectly vertical and horizontals nice is attention to detail, which I'm all over at this. I think to help elevate this into the next score category is just some refinement on the light. It's very, very hard. Just maybe a larger modifier and feather it ever so slightly just to create a softer shadow. And then for me, just you've got the ability to move things about in this category. You could say that the light fitting isn't quite central in above the couple's heads. I just would have just nudged that across to the left just a little bit to keep that level of symmetry perfectly there. And again, some slight refinement in the pose. The bride looks wonderful, but that hand coming around the back of her shoulder from the groom, again, I just would have dropped that down and placed it on her back, turned his body in a little bit more so he looks a bit more comfortable when you're seating. And I think this easily could have been troubling the silvers and silver distinctions, but well done. Keep going, and I can't wait to see more of your work.
Thank you, Scott. 79, highly commended. And can we have Perot, you can, sorry, correction. Christopher, can you step off for a second? And let's have Kelly back on, and we'll go to the next image.
Okay, the title of this image is We Shine Together.
And we have a 75, highly commended. Could we have a comment from Fro?
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, this is the wedding day, and it's they have fun and they enjoy their own day, and the photographer managed to get it well. And when it comes to the sequence and using of keeping black and white and color, I think like if we keep color during the black and white, perhaps that we wanted to talk about the story, we wanted to point out something important, which in the two images in the middle we can see what exactly we want to discover there. Perhaps keep them all black and white or all color, just make the question to be not there, but we actually can look through all the 6 images. Great sense of wedding day.
Thank you, Fro. 75, highly commended. Can we have Adam back on the panel? And Paul, you can step off for a second, and we'll move to the next image.
Okay, this image is titled Magenta Spray.
We have a 77, highly commended. And I would like to hear from Dario. You scored this right on 77.
Yeah, bang on. So thank you for the opportunity. Well, I love the brave choice here. Clearly, it makes I want to commend the author because it makes the picture really. It makes everything so vivid and joyful and explosive. So that's really, really, really pleasing to watch, if anything, because it's kind of unusual. With that being said, area of improvement. Well, there's a sort of competition here between the purple tree and the couple. And being a wedding picture, we need to define where, we want to draw our attention to. And in this case, even if I totally understand the concept, I see a sort of competition, and I'm not sure we are extrapolating the potential out of this idea, as well as some more breathing area underneath the feet of the couple. And maybe why not? Since there's a tree, I would have explored a different shape, a different crop, even a circle one, like a round one, could have been interesting, like I said, to make the most of what was going on in that very moment. But, well done, keep pushing.
Dario, 77, highly commended. Dario, you can step off the panel, and we will bring Christopher on. Next image, please.
This image has no title.
We have an 81, a silver award. And we have a challenge from Adam.
Yeah, I'm on 86, and there's a real intensity about this image, and it doesn't just come from the great expression. There's lovely light on them for starters. It really emphasizes their faces, and it falls off really well to the bottom of the frame. But then you get all the colors in the background, the way the shadows sort of interplay and lead you back to the bride and groom, all those shapes, little triangular shapes in the background. And I just think these are interesting people in an interesting place, and there are so many elements, and you even got those little drawings in the background that kind of almost mirror the expressions that we're getting, because it feels very old fashioned and very, very stiff, yet it also feels very modern in the way that the palette's presented to us. I think sometimes when we see these things, we're overwhelmed with them. We're not quite sure. I think the photographers used light and then captured this really well. And you can look at the different expressions of each of them, how they join together, even across the group as a hand. So I really think it's an image worth giving them a few more points to.
Thank you, Adam. Can we hear from Kelly, please?
I scored this image a 73. And I'm definitely listening, Adam, because I really enjoyed what you said about interesting people in an interesting place. And that's what grabbed my attention when this image first came up. I'm like, wow, look at all of the shapes, the colors, the use of props here. And then I started to look a little bit further into the image, and I just felt that the use of the motorbike here in terms of this location was a little disjointed. However, for me to be able to bring it up into that silver scoring range, I would need to see a little bit more refinement in terms of the technical capture here. So there are some post-production technical aspects as well that need refining, but for me, mainly it's around the lighting here, and there's just some inconsistencies with the light on each of these subjects. And because, this is a wedding, this is the bride and groom, I feel like the direction of the light on the bride's face is just giving her a little bit of a 5 o'clock shadow here that could have been improved by either refining her pose to bring her up towards that light, or just, repositioning the direction and the intensity of light so we didn't draw emphasis to the 3 very bald fellows in this image as well, creating some really bright spots here. But the contrast overall here for me, where we're losing a lot of sort of detail into those darker shadowy areas, there is detail, but the contrast is just a little bit too much in terms of, drawing us into those darker areas that make the bottom of this image feel really quite heavy here, and the dirtiness of that white dress as well. So yeah, there are a few other things in terms of refining posing as well, especially for the bride, repositioning, her upper body there to kind of make it a little bit more flattering and sort of, turn her shoulders a bit more towards the camera here. But I am listening, and I do love that these are interesting people in an interesting place. It's just technically a few things would have to be refined for me to take it up into that next scoring range.
Thank you, Kelly. Christopher, would you like to say something?
Oh, I'm so grateful you're giving. I really want to talk about this because I've underscored it. What we've got here is the theatre of a wedding day, and it's so beautifully executed. What is a wedding? It's a pageant, dress-ups for adults. And each person, this photographer has done what so many photos tonight have not done. He's got into the mind of every single person. Every single person is a portrait. It reminds me of those classic collages of famous people at the opening of Parliament and that, where every person's at their best and they're striking the pose. Because it's an older group, dresses don't sit right, people aren't comfortable, jackets will be open because of stomachs and things like that. I just think this is impossibly good. This needs to be silver distinction. I can understand what Kelly's saying, and I'm not going for gold, but we really do need to see this in silver distinction, because we're going to see more and more second weddings, older weddings, and we need to make these people look special because their body shapes aren't doing them the favours they would have done 20 years earlier. This is easily a silver distinction.
Thank you, Christopher, for your passion. That was wonderful to hear. Thank you. Adam, you're
I love the words impossibly good. It's everything about this image. Kelly, I think sometimes we kind of I look at the bottom of the image and I wonder, well, if there was more detail there, then we would be saying, oh, it's distracting them away from our faces. I like the way that the light really falls off to that bit. We don't get any of these distractions, and there are probably a lot of them in this room, the motorbike included. And I love the way that it's not featured. Sometimes we shoot weddings and there's a horse and cart or some random objects that they want to sit on for no reason at all. And I love the fact that even though this weird object is sitting in this, amazingly diverse room, it doesn't jump out at me straight away, because I'm still drawn back to the intensity and the story in her faces. And I think that's the same with the bride as well. If she was beautiful and, refined, it probably wouldn't match the rest of these. Like you said, the bald guys, they are what they are. And I think drawing attention to it rather than hiding it in this room of wonders, I think really deserves, it's a brave choice all the way around, from the lighting, from the composition, from where the shadows fall and where the light falls. I'd really love to see it as a silver distinction.
Thank you, Adam. You're going to stay where you are, and the rest of the judges can rescore now. And we have an 85, a silver with distinction. Well argued, wonderful discussion. Once again, thank you so much for your passion and your expertise as well. So much value being given here. I'm going to just switch out the panel. Scott, you're going to go off for a second, and we'll have Paul back on. Next image, please.
Okay, this image has no title.
And we have a 79, highly commended. Paul, would you like to challenge? Unmute, please.
I've got you. I hit the button at the same time. A load of warnings came up saying my internet connection had died.
Oh, no.
Clearly a short glitch. Yes, I'd like to challenge. Is that okay?
I'd love you to challenge.
Okay. I saw this in the slideshow and hoped I would enjoy it as much judging it. I hoped I was going to be on the panel to judge it as when it sailed past. Sometimes you connect with an image in a way that you can't describe. Of course, as judges, we have to break it down and figure out, at least in some sense of language, why. So let me try and explain why I think this is silver with distinction. Firstly, the posing is exquisite. Now, admittedly, some people pose well like this, some people pose less well, and that's just physiology or physical form. But this bride has been posed so that it's probably her natural stance, and it's exquisite. The photographer has seen it and used it. When you dig in then to her expression, so often we find that prize-winning photography has that sort of very stern, very serious, very enigmatic look. I mean, the negativity bias means we're drawn towards those kinds of stories. And yet here the bride is smiling, and it's not what you expect when you see this from a distance. And for that, I'm so happy, because weddings on the whole are joyous. They're a celebration, a pageant, as I think it was Christopher described it, and they are. A piece of theatre, and I think this has been captured really well here. There's a romance to it, in spite of the fact there's only her in it. The palette, for me, overall, the tones of the image, I think, are exquisite. I think they've been really well thought through and really well handled. It has that feeling, at least from a tonality point of view, of an old classic oil painting that you would just love to have hanging on the wall. The verticals, the way the lines kind of lead you in towards it, I think have worked really well. All in all, I think this is a really beautiful study of a bride on her wedding day, and I'd love to see a few more marks. I'm not asking for a gold, of course, but I think this warrants more, certainly more than the score that it has, and I'd love to hear what the other judges have seen that maybe I haven't.
Thank you, Paul. Christopher, would you like to speak to this?
Look, when you see it at full screen, it's exquisite. It has the sway and the movement from the base to the top you really want. But if you've been raised on the craft that was Hasselblads and things like that, you realise the face is everything, and the face is in the wrong profile. It needs to be. I would have got in there and said, "You're doing beautifully." Pumped her up because she's really swayed. She's got the weights on the hips, dropped the shoulder, and come in there and moved her chin towards us so we saw more of her. And that lock of hair would not dissect her cheek. The lock of neck chair. I don't know why you didn't retouch the lock of hair that's under the chin, because it's such a scene stealer. It's such an attention grabber, a thief of. It's totally wrong. And yet, below the neck, you've done it. You've absolutely nailed it. I just wonder why you didn't. I guess you were overwhelmed with the beauty you were seeing, that you didn't get in there and you didn't feel that you had to turn the head around a little bit and pull down some strokes of hair.
Thank you, Christopher. Faro, I'd love to hear your expertise with the female form and beauty on this.
I gave this image 78, and thank you so much, Paul, for challenging this, because when I saw this image, I felt like it is so beautiful. It just looks like old painting. There is so much carefully think and captured. The pose by itself is beautiful. I'm not really agree with you, Christopher, on that part of the face needs to be in a different position. I think the bride herself pose herself. I feel it that way. She has a beautiful smile. There is angelic feeling to this image. The light is coming from the top, which I wish it was a bit warmer compared to the rest of the color palette. That's one of the things I stayed at 78. And also, this is such a low light, dim image. There is so much emotional to it. The color palette is exquisite, but the veil at the back of her wrist is brighter, and it doesn't have that color palette. It doesn't have that burn on, and it's just, creating lots of distraction. But perhaps because this is such a challenging place to photograph a bride, but photograph manage it to do it in a very beautiful way. Perhaps I'm shy in 78, and I'm willing to come up and sit in silver, not silver with distinction, but still I'm listening and I'm excited for the image.
Thank you so much, Faro. Paul, back to you.
Well, thank you, both of you, for your comments, and also for the other judges who I'm saw sitting there puzzling it out too. In response to the face and the hair, I think, again, if we're looking at gold or golder distinction, those things they're the tiny little marks that we reduce down and consider. But here, in totality, we have a beautiful, beautiful moment. Remember, this is a wedding day. It's not a model. It's not allowed to be. Well, she may be a model, but it's on her wedding day. So all of these tiny little details, I understand that I would love to commend. I would love to recommend the author has a good look at these little things, but to take it down from silver to highly commended still feels like an awful lot of marks. I completely understand what you're saying, Faru, about that veil down the back. There's definitely, I suspect, something in the retouch has been missed. But all in all, everything leads to this beautiful moment, this beautiful scene. Her expression, the pose, the colours. I would love to see a few more marks to reward an author who is clearly on top of their craft. And with just a few more tweaks and nods here and there inside the image, I have no doubt at all that it would be up with gold and gold of distinction. But right now, I'd love to see this at least in silver. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you so much. Paul, you're going to stay where you are. All of the other judges can rescore. Paul spoke. You all listened. We have an 85 silver with distinction. Outstanding. What a great discussion. Thank you so much. Let's move. Faro, you can sit off, and Dario, you can come back on. And we will move to the next image.
Okay, this image is titled Stealing the Scene.
And we have a 78, highly commended. And could we have, oh, we have a challenge from Kelly. How wonderful. Fantastic.
Right?
Go for it.
Why not? We're 2 points away from taking this into silver. I mean, what an incredible moment. Like the action here in this, stealing the scene. This little boy is completely stolen the scene, but equally the little girl off to the left-hand side who's, taking her own little phone picture here. This is as real as it gets on a wedding day. These are the moments that couples will cherish. And you can't recreate this. You can't refine this. You can't direct this. You can just capture it. And I think the photographer has done a really great job at capturing this. So when I look at the scoring range here and I see the description for a silver, and it says strong creative image with clear strengths in concept, in technique or impact. And I think it's got impact. It's definitely got strong technique because, we're seeing everything that we need to see here. And I'm really loving the added kind of oval frame here that really does create this beautiful kind of circular feel here. It feels balanced. There's just so much to love about this, and it's a couple of extra points that I would love to hear my fellow judges talk about and help me award the photographer here on a really well captured moment.
Thank you, Kelly. Adam?
Yeah, look, I certainly see the humour in the moment. It'd be, I think, something that the family would love. It'll, turn up at 18th or 21st birthday parties or something like that. That sort of moment. I think that the two things that stop me from going a little bit higher is, even though the title says stealing the scene, I'm not really, it feels a little static because I'm blocked into both of them. Like I can't see the face, and it's not an essential thing to kind of see it, but I feel like I want to see a bit more of them stealing the scene, I guess. I'm still, I guess, drawn a little bit to the couple, but then I'm kind of drawn away by the almost the grayness in the palette that's in the greens and so down the bottom and around them. It's just tripping into some greys, or almost a little monochromatic, which it doesn't gel with the palette in the front, I guess. But look, it's a lovely moment, and I really appreciate it for what it gives straight up.
Thank you, Adam. Dario, would you?
Yeah, of course, there's irony component that makes it really, how could you not enjoy this picture? However, I was following, with attention, my fellow judges' description, and I'm looking at the title, the "Still in the Scene," and what's going on. And unfortunately, by the way, I scored 78, so I'm there, and I'm listening, of course, as usual. But at the same time, I got stuck in the suspension of disbelief because of the stage situation. So Kelly, you were saying, this is as good as it can get in a wedding when there's a lot going on, and there are funny moments, and you're totally right. Now, I was looking at the girl to the left, and she's holding the phone reverse, so she's not actually taking a picture. She's staging to take a picture, but she's not. And the boy to the right clearly is mimicking having a wee, but clearly is not. And therefore, I'm like, okay, there's a bit of disconnection because we can't see the girl's eye. The phone is flipped. The boy is not interacting, he's literally lost in his world. And you might say, but that's the point of it. So like he's completely unaware that he is on frame and he's going to be portrayed with his parents. I get that. But at the same time, since there's a lot of control here, I would have loved to have more connections, since, between the different things, the different actions going on here, as well as I'm not sure the oval aperture here is really helping.
Thank you, Dario. Kelly, take it away.
Do you know, okay, there's a couple of things here that I want to reply to. And Dario, I want to say thank you for pointing out the phone there. Although I can't quite see, like it does look like a blacked out screen. I can't quite see where the lens is, so who knows exactly what that is, but it is just a little bit far off into the kind of distance there. Maybe she's kind of covering her eyes so she doesn't see, her brother peeing there off to the side of her, and she's not taking a picture, who knows. But these are kids. Like, I mean, and if they belong to the couple, what a really great fun moment for them to be able to cherish. And that's what I'm sort of drawn into here. And in terms of the desaturation here, I feel like if this had been a very bold, colorful image, it would have probably taken away from these little moments that are happening here in the scene. But thank you so much, judges, for your feedback and for pointing out some of those things. But yeah, I'm really struggling to kind of see fault here. But I am seeing like a really fun moment, and the photographer's in the moment, and they've captured something that is going to be very unique and memorable for this couple, not for the world, but for this couple. So yeah, I love this as an album image or a wall print for the family. All I'm asking for is a couple of points. If you want to join me there, go for it. If not, I totally understand, but thank you so much.
Thank you, Kelly, and thanks for such great comments from everybody. So Kelly, you're going to stay where you are, and the judges are going to rescore. And we have a 79. Highly commended. 1 point, nearly there, but what a wealth of information to take home with you. Amazing. Right, we will have Kelly. You can step off for a second, and we will bring Scott Johnson back on. And we'll go to the next image.
This image is titled Island Fire.
And we have an 80 silver award. Let's have a comment from Scott.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. I was at 82, so well within the silver range. There's a lot going on here, and I'm really enjoying the energy and the, you can only assume, noise and everything visceral behind the couple, and they're just stealing a moment between themselves. I think the title maybe could have helped be changed to help put that serenity across between the couple and what's going on. But I really want to applaud the author for using the CTO gel on the flash that they've used to mimic the actual color of the sand and the fireworks and the fire. It's very easy to overlook that on a wedding day because you're rushed, you've got a lot on, and you take the picture and you go, I probably should have done that. But the author did it, had the presence of mind to think, no, I'm going to put a filter on that flash. So well done for that. And I just think it's well deserving of a silver. To go a little bit higher, I maybe would have come down a letterbox crop slightly to remove some of that upper third on the top of the frame there, and give a little bit more space to the dress, and maybe pull the dress out just a little bit more. But I think on the whole, we've been saying all morning, all evening, images worthy of hanging on the wall. if this not is not hanging on the wall of the couple's house or apartment, then I think it needs to. So well done.
Great, thank you so much. That's a silver award 80. And let's, Adam, you can step off and we will bring Faro back on. And we'll move to the last image.
Okay, this image is titled His Suit, His Hat, His Glasses.
We have an 85, silver with distinction, and we have a challenge. Let's end this with a bang, Faro.
I'm excited about this image and I'm really happy that I'm here to challenge this one. I gave it 93. There is so many reasons I gave it. And first of all, I feel like, wow, that's a concept. I've never seen something like that. The title, his suit, his hat, his glasses, that's the all element that is really bold in this image with very interesting composition. And I feel like my eyes is goes everywhere. Start with the glass. That's what the photographer want to see between these two lovers, and then we go into the background. That's why the photographer choose the frame and the hat and the glass and everything. So I think I give it because of the high level of excellence in concept, craft, and impact. It has a high visual impact and there's emotion in its own way. It's very contemporary, it's different, and it's unique its own way. I'm hearing you guys.
Thank you so much. Let's have a word from Scott.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for challenging that. I've underscored this image. I was at 81, and I've looked into it more. The benefit of having a challenge when you're talking about it, I can look on the screen and see into it. The title really got me here. His suit, his hat, his glasses. You can, again, from the title, the gentleman that's in the picture frame is wearing exactly the same stuff. So he's wearing his father's outfit on his wedding day. What I'm getting from that. And I think it's a very powerful narrative there. The thought process into taking this image is a level beyond, I think, what we've seen so far. That the planning and the execution has been well done. I was initially a little bit low on 81. I think the reflection on the left-hand side of the mirror is just pulling me out of the frame ever so slightly. I just wish the author would just come in. We're all doing it now, can see on Zoom. Everyone's doing this, making the judge's hand signal. Just coming in ever so slightly. So just to where the bridge of the glasses sits, so we lose that little bit of reflection there. But I am going to be coming up, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Christopher.
Yes, I was down that line too. I was just wondering why the right part of the spectacles was cropped and yet so much space was given to the left-hand side. But I've been cruel because we've seen a lot of photos that we've seen before. This has not been seen before. So I'm certainly coming up. I don't know about gold because of those technical issues, but it's certainly worth silver distinction.
Great. And Dario, you mentioned you've put your hand up to speak.
Yeah, because speaking of attention to details, which is something that we come up with more often than not, I will commend the author for the attention to the details because of the parallax precision of the left and the right lens reflection. So the groom to the left and the corresponding gap in between his hat and the painting on the wall. Everything is perfect. I mean, even the reflection of the painting have been curved to make it, through the lens and credible to the very finest detail, which is absolutely commendable. Now, we could also read it as a couple, or we could read it as an intergenerational portrait, because if we look at the painting, we have an older subject, and it could be maybe the father of the groom to the left, and these are the glasses actually of the father, looking at his boy getting married that day. So we have the very, I would say, privileged perspective of the groom's father, potentially. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too far. I don't know. But even the fact that I'm open to this reading means that the author, went to a very, I would say, brave attempt here to create something unique and special and meaningful.
Great, thank you. And as Perot has scored this into the gold category, I'd like to hear from everybody. So, Paul, would you like to speak as well?
Would love to. I mean, so much has been said. I too pondered over the asymmetric positioning of the glasses, but in the end, the word kooky kind of sort of occurred to me, and I think that's true of this whole thing. Sorry, I thought you were trying to stop me. I can see your hand up at the screen, Sarah.
Sorry, I was doing
just
the
doing the crop
hands.
thing.
Sorry.
That's all right. And so that kind of wayward crop, I think, is in keeping with everything. I too, with Dario, looked long and hard at those the sort of in focus images in the glasses, and even the detail where it hits the matte surface around the edge of the glasses. That's been really beautifully handled. There's blurring there that suggests that it's authentic. There's so much to love about this image. I've scored at 86. I'm listening to Farouk. I think probably I've underscored it at that. So I'm happy to come up a mark or 5.
Farouk, you're right to reply.
I'm glad I hear lots of great comments. So we are sitting in gold, and okay. I think like I can see the details. I can see the mirror in the background. Why is there? Is it kind of distracting? But I can see it really distracting. I see the composition by itself talk a lot. The photographer doesn't want it to get everything right and perfect. Nothing is symmetry. There is a puzzle. Photographer makes a puzzle with your mind. We're already thinking, are they lover or generation? It creates so much dialogue, and that's important. That's what we wanted in creative wedding. We wanted to see excellent of impact. We wanted to see this story just take us to just talk to each other, challenge each other. And I think we all are sitting to agreement. We are talking about so many details, and we wanted to see in, perhaps gold. And I don't want to repeat myself, but I wanted to see like this feels like you are looking through the start of the story in contemporary movie, that they show the introduction, then we are willing to see what is going to the background. That's how I read it, and I'm really wanted to see you guys in gold.
An appeal with passion there. So Farouk, you're going to stay at 93, and the rest of the judges are going to rescore. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a 90, we have a gold. I just want to say thank you judges, what a great challenge, what a great discussion. And that was our last image. So what a way to end it. What a way to end the creative wedding category. It's just been some amazing work and incredible, brilliant entries in there. Congratulations to all of the entrants, and it's been really fantastic to see your work. And a huge thank you to tonight's judges, this morning's judges for me. It's been really great to hear you bringing your experience, your talent, your passion, and your skill in communicating to the entrants how they can improve, how they can take a good image and make it great. And if you've been listening carefully, the judges have really given some absolute pearls of wisdom, and I urge everybody to take it on board and listen. So I want to say thank you to Adam, Christopher, Dario, Furo, Kelly, Paul, and Scott for tonight. And thank you to the online audience for tuning in and joining us to celebrate excellence in photography, and join us for the live judging of the next category. Don't forget to tune in as well, excuse me, to our award ceremony on Thursday, the 13th of August, for the announcement of the winners. So thank you again, everybody. Thanks to the judges, thanks to you at home, and see you soon.
Wow, photographing the way I do, but with my colors, this will change everything.
I got to see each frame, each position of its wing, and they're so beautiful that I have never seen before.
Being able to move quickly and working at my brain's pace and getting those shots in the moment. Having this camera allows you to go out and create the way you want to create.
Until you use it, you cannot even imagine what you have missed.
It's something I've never seen before in my entire life. It's something totally different.
Nikon Z6 III. Outperform.
Introducing ISO Color Edge. Precision is essential for any professional working with images. Whether you're an artist, a retoucher, or a visual effects specialist, you need to know that what you see at the start of a project is precisely what you'll get at the end. Color Edge monitors give consistent, reliable accuracy that guarantee no surprises within your color workflow. So what you see in real life is what you see on screen, and what you see on screen is what you see in real life. That's precisely why professionals all over the world trust ISO Color Edge for their image creation. ISO Color Edge. Discover living, breathing color.
I'm Mark Rizzetto from the Professional Photography Business Network.
A vibrant community from all around the world who's here to supercharge your business growth.
This is not an expensive one-size-fits-all course.
PPBN is a network,
An online educational platform with training and resources to suit everyone.
from those just starting out to the seasoned pros.
You can tailor your journey to suit your individual business needs and challenges, all at your own pace.
And there's new content added every week. But success is only part of the experience.
To us, community is super important, as we all know business can be lonely.
So join us today. PPBN is your unfair advantage. Let's do this.